Hey YouTube, it's your boy Widgie here, coming at you with some more Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. And today we're going to be talking about China. Now, I know you guys, there's a lot of guys, most likely going to be in chat, also through Twitch as well. Not huge fans of China. They are a very strong civilization at the moment. But I'm going to just be discussing about card order at the very start, and particularly looking at the T-Export card and the Northern Refugee card. I've been seeing lots of people interchanging and switching around the order of this card because normally the standard kind of opening for China would be to go for the Northern Refugees that would muster 2 villagers, and then you would go ahead for the T-Export card. But I'm starting to see players switch that, and also players missing the Northern Refugees entirely. So they basically go for T-Export, and then they just miss it. And they don't go for the 2 vills, and they basically save that card for later into Age 2. And we're just going to watch a replay of myself here, and in this, I go for the T-Export first, and then I go for Northern Refugees. So I'm kind of not going for the standard, you could say, opening, or what the opening is that the majority of people do. I think this is going to change, and I've been seeing a lot of people basically saying that it's basically worthless, the Northern Refugees. Why have it? Just go for T-Export. Yes, you miss out on 2 villagers. You basically save a card. And if you're going to play Age 2 as well, you have a lot of tempo. You can use that card for 7 Step Riders. You can then get 700 coin. You could then age up to Age 3. You know, put some pressure on, do maybe a kind of a slight semi-FF style, and then put some pressure on. Or you could use it for an extra card when you do get into Age 3. So you have even more military capability when you age up quicker into Age 3. So, and obviously the trade-off, there's certain trade-offs, you know, so like the original way would be to go Northern Refugees first and then go T-Export, okay? So by going T-Export first, you're going to be actually benefiting from the relation earlier, which means you're going to be able to get villagers out slightly quicker, and they're going to be slightly cheaper. Remember, when you ally with Russia, which is most of the time, 95% of the time, you're going to be doing that when you go for your T-Export in Age 1. It means that your villagers cost 10 food less, and also they come out a little bit quicker as well. And you can see here I've got the consulate down now, and also the consulate gives you a very small build XP of 50, so we also have to bear that in mind as well. And you can see now I've got the next card, and I'm going to be going for Northern Refugees here. So I've basically swapped the 2 over here. But some people miss the Refugees entirely. Some people switch it back over to the standard play, which is Refugees first and then T-Export. So with doing this, and with potentially missing Refugees as well, you get your T-Export and you get your consulate down earlier, which means you get the benefit of the extra XP or export trickle. As you can see, if we have a quick look, the T-Export, what does it do? It gives you 100 export early. It gives you the rickshaw, so you can build the building earlier. You get access to the build XP of 50 earlier. You also get the 0.4 XP trickle rate earlier as well. And you benefit from the Russian relation, which is, as I've already mentioned, 10 food reduction on your vill, and they come out a little bit quicker as well. So there's a lot to think about here. And I don't know whether skipping Northern Refugees entirely is a good thing to do. You miss out on 2 villagers, and as I've always said, you know, if you miss out on villagers really early in the game, it's going to be worse off for you as the game progresses, because the villagers are essentially an investment. You know, they're an investment. The longer you keep your villager alive, the more they're going to give back to you in the resources they gather. You know, so the earlier you want them, the better. So if you're sacrificing, you're not going to get those 2 villagers, then it means, number 1, your age up's going to be slightly delayed because you've got two less villagers or fewer villagers. And also it means that you are going to have your consulate a lot earlier, which means that potentially you'll be able to get your export quicker, as we can see here. So here I'm getting my blockhouse out significantly quicker, and some people like to adjust the export limit or the export amounts in between Age 1 and Age 2 so that you can get it out even quicker. So I think at the moment, the way that I see this, if you really want to go hard on the blockhouse and you want to get it out as early as possible, you kind of are expected or want to play probably Age 2 a bit more. You might want to put the blockhouse further out into the map so you can get it there quicker. So I think that going for a T-Export start is the most ideal thing there, and potentially missing the Northern Refugees entirely, so that it gives you access to 2 cards. Because if we pause here, if I didn't go for the Northern Refugees, I would have 2 cards available right now, and I could immediately go into some units. I could go 7 Step Rider, I could go 700 Wood, and I could play Age 2. Or I could go 7 Step Rider and then 700 coin, and I could do a semi-FF style where maybe I muster a couple of banner armies out, and then I decide I'm going to go into Age 3. Now, it's all about that thing. It's all about that trade-up. Are you willing to lose 2 villagers early? Are you willing to delay your age up as well when you get into Age 2, that is? Now, the big question is, how much does it delay you getting into Age 3 if you're going to do the standard naked FF of China? So you can see that that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And of course, I'm not a, super high level player. There's clearly some mistakes that I've made, countless mistakes in this game alone. But what would be great is to get a very high level player to give this a few runs and to basically let us know what the real true differences are in timing of your age up and so on and so forth. Missing those 2 villagers, yes, it's definitely going to delay, but you are going to get access, as I mentioned, to the Russian relation earlier. You're going to get your blockhouse earlier, and also you're going to have access to an extra card. So from what I've looked at and the observations that I've made, I think that if you do miss the Northern Refugees and you just go solely for the consulate, I think, I'm going to lose a villager here. No, I'm not. Fantastic. I think that you are going to have a slower age up to Age 3, but you're going to have another card available. And you could get 700 wood after 700 gold, and you would still have another card available to you when you get into Age 3, which is brilliant. So you might not need to go Porcelain Tower. You could go for Confucian Academy, go 700 wood, and then you won't have issues with building, villages and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of knock-on effects, and I think if you want to hit your opponent a little bit later but with more troops, then go for the T export and miss Northern Refugees. If you want to have more eco and you want to age up a little bit sooner, but you may not have another card available to you at that time, but you do have slightly better eco, you've got a slightly faster age up, then potentially go for the standard, which is the Northern Refugees, and then T export. But it's a crazy one. There's 3 different variations, and I've seen all 3 done throughout many games that I've casted and also games that I've played as China as well. And it's a real interesting question. And you can see here, I have access to the British allies. You see, because I got the consulate quite a bit earlier, I had access to that. And I didn't even use any kind of like the relation card that you can have. I can't even remember what it's called. The one that gives you 300 export. How can I not remember that? But yeah, I didn't even have that. And I was able to switch to Brits and be comfortable now rolling with that. So I don't know. I'd love to know your guys' opinions. We're just obviously, as I'm discussing this, we're sort of just watching a replay of myself here doing this kind of strange, unusual sort of switch of the 2 cards. And we're going to just cast the rest of this because this was an interesting game. I enjoyed this one as well. I went for Porcelain Tower. I went quite greedy. And you can see here that I've got Changdao on the way now, which is quite good because, Germany are going to have Ulans. They're definitely going to have Ulans. We can see White Tiger here does have another card available to him. And if we have a look, actually went for the Saloon here, which is an interesting one because White Tiger actually isn't really creating. This is such a weird build by White Tiger. I don't really understand what this was because it probably should have taken advantage of mercenaries in Age 2 because that's kind of when you go for the Palatine settlements. You kind of want to play. I mean, that is an absolute juicy pickup there for me with the Changdao. And I think White Tiger was a little bit lower level here. I got that feeling. But I just mainly wanted to have a chat about the consulate and the T export and what's good, what is it, and I want to sort of pass this over to you guys. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below what you've been trying out, what you think the best or optimum or optimal, sorry, way is for China, depending on what you want to do. So, like, if you want to stay H2, what's the ideal scenario? If you want to go for semi-FF, what do you think? If you want to go FF, what do you think? All these kind of questions would be amazing if you could answer them, because I don't think there really is a true correct answer. I think it's kind of how you want to play, you know? I think it's how you want to play. If you want to be a little bit more, you know, vulnerable in H2 and you want to take a little bit longer to get to H2, then go for the consulate and ignore Northern Refugees entirely. If you want to have a little bit more eco, then go for the T-Export and then Northern Refugees. And then the other option is just to continue with standard. And if you want to have early 2 Vils and you want to have a slightly better eco early on, and you want to have slightly faster age up, then just stick with the standard Northern Refugees and then T-Export. I know this is probably a kind of like a really sort of small thing, and a lot of you guys are like, why are you making a video about this? It's such a tiny thing. But I play China quite a bit, and it's an interesting one because I've seen a lot of people switch it around, and some people, as I've said, have just thought, what's the point? What's the point? What is the point in having the Northern Refugees? Just miss it, and you get a free card. And yes, you lose out on 2 Vils, but it's just 2 Vils. Like, a 2 Vil shipment isn't crazy. So I would love to know your thoughts. But of course, if you're planning on going for a double village opening at the start, I would very recommend Northern Refugees first, because you get 3 villages rather than 2. So that's the kind of big difference there, really, is if you're going to go for a TP opening, then it's the question that we're trying to answer right now. If you're not going for a TP opening and you're going for a 2 village opening, then I would still suggest going for Northern Refugees and then T-Export. You can see here this really strange fight going in with the ninjas against like mercenaries. Like, I don't have any mercenaries. I found this really unusual. White Tiger here. I think White Tiger was trying to do a mercenary build, but didn't really understand how best to do the mercenary build, to be honest with you. Because he definitely does have mercenaries available. I just don't know what they are, but it seems to just be training ninjas, which is the anti-merc unit, but I don't have any mercenaries, so such a strange one here. But he does go for the Black Riders, which is a little bit scary for me. And basically, I just try and zone them off here with my Chang down. And I don't want to get too invested in the Black Riders. I want to focus on his main base. So I kind of roll back to the main base. And you can see here that I've just got further units. I've got a decent amount of resources. I probably could think about potentially, I've got some Vils here, but potentially getting another military building down. And you can see I've got them all queued up. And now the mercenaries are going to do a pretty good job here. Sorry, the arquebusiers are going to do a good job against the Black Riders, which is great. And I've got further redcoats coming down from the consulate. But yeah, this is pretty much how this game went. But yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there to you guys. As I said, let me know down in the comments below what you think about this, whether you think it doesn't really matter, or maybe you think it really does matter, and it depends on what kind of style you want to play. It'd be great to hear your comments and stuff. And also, if you guys think this has been a waste of a video, or it's like, why did you do this? It doesn't really matter at all. Just do whatever you want. Then let me know as well. It'd be really nice to have some kind of feedback. So we're going to just leave it here. We're going to speed this up a little bit, because this was quite a straightforward game for me, an interesting one. As I say, I think White Tiger wanted to do a mercenary kind of strat, and it kind of failed a little bit here. And my good old China Cav here is going to clear up his Ulans. He hasn't even got them upgraded, and we are all good to go right there. So guys, thank you very much for all your kind words through YouTube recently, through me creating shorts. I'm going to be doing more shorts, not just on fun facts, but I'm going to be doing it potentially on spotlighting certain units and buildings, providing some history around the units as well, and how they've been incorporated into the game. So yeah, hopefully you guys look forward to that, and I'll catch you in the next video or the next stream over on Twitch. Catch you later.